Adult Swim is infamous for its unorthodox marketing. If it's weird, edgy, and different, it turns heads. And who better to do it than the grandfather of Freak, Turner Broadcasting's own
Adult Swim.
The network has had a slew of absurd marketing strategies under its belt. It feels as if the program is unmatched in its field. And examples include a bomb scare in the Boston Metro, a Rick and Morty episode split into 109 Instagram videos, fans rallying on TikTok to create their own Adult Swim bump, and even filming themselves signing a petition to bring back Benalocalypse.
Okay, I think it's done.
But somewhere, buried in the myriad of wacky stunts, a campaign was greenlit. One that, to this day, has a physical memento that has become emblematic of Adult Swim. If you're a fan, you've seen it. Whether you know of its origins or not, there's no denying its subject matter. And if we're to dive deep into this rabbit hole together, we need to talk about the... Adult Swim has had an incredible amount of fun with its station IDs and sign-offs. Maybe a little bit too much. And if you watched Adult Swim at any time during the 5-year period of September 1st, 2014 to May 11th, 2019, you might have seen this sign-off. What you're seeing and hearing is a rendition of the American National Anthem set to a time-lapse of the Williams Street Production Center in Atlanta, Georgia. If Williams Street rings a bell, you probably recognize it from this. This station ID plays after most Adult Swim original shows. There's a misconception that the building shown here is the Williams Street Studios, but it's actually meant to be Ghost Planet Industries, as referenced by the original logo splash. The reasoning behind the name being that this building was where Space Ghost conducted his interviews in Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It's also in this sign-off where we catch the first TV appearance of the Williams Street Owl, as I like to call it. The sculpture itself is shrouded in mystery. Nobody seems to know who created it or who commissioned its creation. But we do have a reason why it exists. By the way, one of the most in-depth investigations on this sculpture is from InfoWars. Yeah, that InfoWars.
No, come on, you're not an intellectual, you're a fake and a fraud.
Funnily enough, Alex Jones himself did some investigative journalism on the Bohemian Grove. His work is widely mocked.
It is absolutely a miracle. It is a miracle death serum of chimera combinations. Let me tell you something.
So, you might be asking, why the hell is there a giant scary owl on the upstairs parking lot of William Street? It's weird and eye-catching, which is right up Adult Swim's alley, but it's an intentional design choice. And what does that choice symbolize?
No diving in an empty pool.
Owls have been part of a secret society iconography for years. The original Illuminati of the 18th century did take up the Owl of Minerva as its official symbol. The reason we see this particular type of owl pretty often is likely due to the fact that great horned owls are native to Bavaria, the birthplace of the Illuminati. In regards to global politics, the owl symbolizes the hindsight nature of history. To quote prominent member George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, "The owl of Minerva spreads its wings only with the falling of dusk." Meaning, we tend to only understand things after they transpire and they're too late. And you know, the William Street Owl reminds me of the tomb of James Gordon Bennett, which was to be a 200-foot mausoleum statue with a 75-foot pedestal. This statue would be where he would be buried, but unfortunately the man Bennett had commissioned, Stanford White, was murdered on the rooftop of Madison Square Garden in 1906. Plans halted immediately after. This shit is horrifying. It's the bird equivalent of Lucifer, and I think, inspired or not, bears a striking resemblance to our main culprit here. And aside from the scary-ass statue, owls are a huge part of Adult Swim's branding. They've been a soft mascot for the network, showing up in bumpers since the station's inception. And there was a time that AS decided to really capitalize on the trend, releasing 18 different bumps under the collective title of the Owl Cultist Marketing Campaign to inform the world of its new 9 p.m. EST start time. Thus the name, Cult of the Nine. These clips would be repurposed in a promotional video Adult Swim would use to advertise for an event. What event, you might ask? Well, I think it used to be more visible. It's a leftover prop from their upfronts. A party where a network shows off its programming to entice ad buyers. Footage from the upfront 2012 does exist. Uploaded 10 years ago by Clip Collective, the video shows a promo reel of the event. The video itself shows absolutely bonkers shit going on. There's so many projections plastered onto the owl every second, and that's coupled with this odd costume work, it's genuinely hypnotizing. You can notice flashing messages on the screen such as, "The bumps are a safe way to engage subjects." I think it's implying we're being experimented on. Who knows? But I want to examine this frame, as it's as good of a look as we're going to get of the owl. And it's almost certainly our guy. At this time, it's painted a flat matte color to be projected upon, but likely sometime later it was given its golden paint job and the ruby eyes were installed. The end of the video shows it being hauled away in a box truck, which almost cements it to me that it's living on top of William Street now. Also, the description of the video gave the owl the name Owl Bundy. I'm sure I don't have to explain that joke. Also, I found a leftover promo graphic from the upfront, and I find it really funny, especially because Jay-Z is speculated to be a prominent figure of the Illuminati. It's just fun little tongue-in-cheek. Now, certainly you have questions about the Bohemian Grove. These human sacrifices and declarations of world events from hooded figures are of massive speculation. And they're just that, speculation. In reality, the Grove isn't nearly as cool as it sounds. But just because it isn't a hyper-paganist bloodbath like I might have led you to believe doesn't mean that it isn't dangerous. In reality, much like the Illuminati itself, it was a secret writers' club, where established poets and great thinkers could come together and frolic in a free land. How the Bohemian Club differs from its counterpart is that once outside forces began to influence the Illuminati, they dissolved. This wasn't the case for the club. Where once notable members like Mark Twain were common to find, soon it became a mega-rich boys' club where the most wealthy could piss on trees and get wretchedly drunk. Online exist archived letters to Ronald Reagan regarding his invitation and arrangements for attending the Grove. Hell, there's even pictures of him, Harvey Hancock, and Richard Nixon together. And this shit gives me the creeps just looking at it. For sure, this place is still a haven to the world's most powerful figures. And that alone is enough evidence that it's a dangerous place. Just not the kind we were expecting. And actually, Richard Nixon had something to say about it. Calling it, well, I'm not saying that. Documentarian Jon Ronson described it best in his series, The Secret Rulers of the World, when he says,
"My lasting impression was of an all-pervading sense of immaturity. The Elvis impersonators, the pseudo-pagan spooky rituals, the heavy drinking. These people might have reached the apex of their professions, but emotionally, they seemed trapped in their college years."
Needless to say, both secret societies are massively defanged, and it's likely that Adult Swim really wanted to play with the aesthetics. And who could blame them? It's such an intriguing idea, and it's left its mark on many. The mystery behind the William Street Owl itself was such a fascinating dive. Adult Swim is no stranger to barking up trees they probably shouldn't be, and causing a ruckus when they want to. This statement is backed up with an answer from a now-deleted interview with Adult Swim creative director Jason DeMarco. "We just like playing with imagery. Much of the imagery that certain corners of the internet associate with aforementioned secret societies has existed for thousands of years. We look at them with artistic elements. There's no intent to reflect a particular ideology other than, wow, that's interesting to look at. Pretty simple, no big conspiracy, and deftly put. I think it's a good thing too, considering that Adult Swim has a reputation of being spooky, ethereal, and edgy. It's always nice to know that they wear it on their sleeve and nothing else is really behind their motives. We shouldn't have expected any less. Or maybe that's what they wanted you to think. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. It just looked cool.